Right, I think we're going to get underway. I know people are drifting back after lunch, but I think we'll kick off anyway. I'm going to hand it to Peter Marcus, who is presenting this panel on the changing world of iGaming. The world of online gaming is rapidly changing. Countries are regulating and taxing. There are stricter rules on marketing all the time. So we're going to look at how these changes may predominantly on the operator side impact on affiliates. How do these changes impact on affiliates? What are some of the regulatory challenges in the UK and other markets, and what could be the future impact on affiliates and affiliate revenue streams? Hand over to Peter, who is a director and principal consultant for Rock Consultant Stroke, the Marcon. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Hopefully more people come shortly, but a very quick background on myself. I've been in online gaming for far too many years. I was Chief Operating Officer for William Hill and UK Managing Director for Betfair. And previous to that, I was with Cryptologic and Intercasino in the early US days, and I went back to Intercasino 10 years later. Prior to that, I used to work in the airline and holiday industry, but my principal area was in retention management and customer service management and how to keep customers. It's relatively easy to get them, it's much harder to keep them. And that's really what the operator does. In reality, the operator uses affiliates, uses SEO, uses brand marketing to get them, and the real skill of an operator is to keep them and keep them playing with us. That's what I specialize in. I'm currently working with GBC and Casino Club on a number of projects. But what I wanted to talk about today was regulation and how it impacts affiliation. And you know, I don't think people have been coming to these events for the last 10 years that I have, 15 years that I have. This is quite a stark event to look at. It's quite an interesting event to look at. And EIG, before for the operators, was just as stark, in that it's quieter. I know binary's mainly gone, but it's quieter. There's certainly less new operators here. And I think the affiliates, you see quite clearly, is consolidating. Yeah, I've got stands here for affiliation, of a consolidated affiliation. And there's 3 or 4 groups that are buying up affiliates. The industry's changing. And my question is why and what will the result be? And I think the first question is affiliates dead? I took this from Google. I think I took it from EGR from memory, but I took it from a few different places. And you know, there was a big question 3 months ago, is affiliation dead? Skybet decided to close down affiliation. Before that, PokerStar did something similar. Foxy did something similar. People are starting to say, I don't want an affiliate program. That was unheard of 2 years ago. You'd never, ever seen that 2 years ago. And why is that the case? Is it they want to steal the money from the affiliates, or is it they can't work with the affiliate model anymore? And therefore, is affiliation dead? Is William Hill going to close down? Ladbrokes going to close down? I don't know. Any other big operator? 888 going to close down? Are they all going to close down their affiliate programs, which leave affiliates only to work with the small businesses that can't afford brand marketing? I think the answer is actually no. And I think going around the room today, you're still seeing the Ladbrokes, the Hills, the 888s, the GVCs. They're still here. They've still got big booths, they still want affiliation. But it's going to change in a big way over the next 12 months. I think this is almost the last hurrah of the pre-US, pre-UAGA, let's do anything affiliation. I don't think we're going to see that moving forward. Look, affiliation's under pressure. This is the headline that 365, one of the largest operators in the world, said about their affiliates. No, we're not going to close off affiliation, but we're going to watch you blooming carefully, and there'll be absolutely zero policy against any breaches. How can anyone say that about their affiliates? In the old days, you'd never dare say that about affiliates, never. More responsibility on marketing. Gala Bingo say, Gala Bingo caught out by rogue affiliate ad and got charged $800,000. I sat on a call with the Advertising Standards Commission in the UK a week ago. Some of you may have heard it. And what they said was, we will hold you, the operator, liable for anything an affiliate does. We will take your license away if an affiliate does something wrong. Up to now, it's always been accepted affiliates, we tell you what to do, we give you long terms and conditions, you must behave yourself. You can't do on porn, you can't do illicit ads, you can't do child pornography. It's all in every T&C you ever read. But then you're responsible for your marketing so long as you don't ruin our brand. That has changed in the UK dramatically in the last 4 weeks. now the operator is legally liable for what an affiliate does. And the affiliate needs to be a lawyer, suddenly, like all the operators are. Because I say I spend about 50 to 60% of my time as a lawyer, and I'm not a qualified lawyer. Looking at terms and conditions, looking at wage requirements, looking at whether I've got kids on or off, cartoons in the right place or not in the right place, looking for being honest about my promotions, making sure I deal with source of funds, finding out, this is what we do all day. And the affiliate is going to be part of that. The affiliate cannot do anything that either encourages kids to gamble, that uses emails that aren't fully loaded in. Somehow the affiliate's responsible for making sure they don't market to someone who's self-excluded. How the hell do you do that? I've no idea how you've meant to do that. But this is where it's going. This is what the UK is saying. We'll talk about non-UK in a minute, but don't think that every single regulator is not watching the UK. Regulators think UK regulation is best in the world. And that's not good news for all of us. ASL rules are gambling, affiliate marketing breaches. We talked about that. You cannot show any type of tile, any type of marketing, any type of image that could appeal to children. Could. Okay, Marvel games have gone, but let's use that as an example. Is Superman meant for adults or kids? Show of hands, it's meant for kids. Superman slots. Show your hands if you don't think Superman slots are for kids. No, you're wrong. According to the Advertising Standards Commission, Superman will appeal to kids and adults, therefore it appeals to kids. If you have a game with melons and with fruits, a NetEnt game, what's it called? There's a NetEnt game with melon and fruits, very popular NetEnt game with melon and fruits. That could appeal to kids, so apparently fruit appeals to kids. Now, I've got a son, I don't think fruit appeals to him at all. But down there I saw a sugar snap company. That is actually illegal to push in the UK under these new regulations. Because sugar, sweets appeals to kids and adults. This is a new world we're going to be all living in. And we're going to have to all listen to what the operators are saying, because if not, the operator will cut you off immediately. Not because they're spiteful, not because they're trying to hurt you, not because they're trying to steal your revenue, because they're absolutely shit scared they're going to lose their license or get fined 8.1 million like 888 did, or 800,000 like Gala did. In this case, Gala got fined 800,000 because an affiliate did something wrong. And the UKGC have said, we want to take a license away to teach a lesson. So an affiliate could potentially lose a major operator their license and their business. So the operators are going to get incredibly tough on affiliation. Again, not because they're trying to hurt affiliates, because they're trying to save their business. So we talked about marketing regulation. What else is changing, though, that impacts affiliates? Well, you've got this thing called tax. Now, I come from the years where we didn't pay tax. We used to be based in Curacao, we were based in Gibraltar, in Malta, in Kilauea. It does exist, Kilauea, by the way, I've been there. It's quite scary, but it does exist. And we used to avoid paying tax. We were the experts in the industry at not paying tax. No more. You've got point of consumption tax in the UK. You've got tax, VAT here in Germany, 19%. They say it's not legal, but they still charge you VAT. Dig that one. 40% tax in Austria, 25% tax in Denmark, about 25% tax, a bit more in Spain, and even a bit more in Italy. And it's coming through. Pennsylvania, is it 54% tax plus 10 million for license? And by the way, affiliates need a license to operate in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Tax is here now. We're having to pay tax. Nothing, you know what? I'm not saying there's actually wrong with that. Why shouldn't we as an industry have to pay tax in the same way that Google, Amazon, oh no, they don't pay tax. So in the same way that other companies pay tax. We have to live with that, we have to pay tax. But point of consumption tax in the UK, these other taxes, are impacting the profit and loss of companies. And the biggest change that happened this year in the UK is this new GGR tax. This GGR tax, meaning in the past in gaming, unlike sports, you only pay tax on NGR, basically the affiliate commission. You pay tax on the affiliate commission, in reality. That was wagering minus bets minus bonuses. You didn't pay on bonuses. Bonuses were tax-free. That's changed. They put a new law in for GGR. It came in the 1st of October, or 1st of August, but it's really coming in 1st of October for most companies. And that means you have to pay tax on bonuses. You have to pay on gross gaming revenue at 15%. Now, given that most casinos are operating at about a 30% bonus ratio, most bingo sites are operating at about 50% bonus ratio, that is a significant tax hit. Significant tax hit. And it's going to start coming down to the affiliates. There's no way the affiliates aren't going to feel that cost. You're going to see your revenue show on go down, because there's no way the operator can afford that type of tax amount and not pass it down. And it's not just the UK, as we saw. Here in Germany, 19%, Austria, 40%. It's moving around the whole world. The new model is here. There are a few markets that haven't taken it yet, but they will come in time. New Jersey, Spain, Austria, Ireland charges VAT, Italy, Denmark, and more to come. And countries are closing down. There are countries that are making online gambling properly illegal. No longer grey, but clearly illegal. US did it in 2006. And there are very, very few people that operate in the US. It is dangerous to operate in the US without a New Jersey license, without a Delaware or a Vegas and now a Pennsylvania license. I'm looking at my list to make sure I've got the list right. You really don't operate in the US without it. It's too dangerous. See what happens to people that the US arrest people and they've got the worldwide FBI to arrest. They're the global police. But there's some other places now. Russia have made it much harder to operate. They've tightened up the rules. And don't think it's the operators closing it down. It's the software providers. The Playtechs of the world, the Dragonfish of the world, the OpenBets of the world, all these software providers out there, the Nicks of the world, all the software providers who are providing this software do not want to mess around with countries that close down because they want to get in there when it regulates. So it's not even always the operators closing it. It's actually the software provider telling the operator to close it. That happened in Australia last month. Australia, the day it got legal, almost everyone pulled out of Australia. You really couldn't find a legal way of operating casino in Australia. And if you didn't have a sportsbook license, you couldn't operate sportsbook anymore in Australia. That probably took 15 to 20% revenue away from one of the biggest operators in the world, outside the UK. And then there's a wonderful world of responsible gaming. Now, if anyone wants to understand government policy in the UK, just listen to a radio company called LBC. You can get it online. Just listen every single afternoon to LBC. There is not one day that goes past when they don't talk about gambling, and it basically shapes government policy. That and the Times and the Financial Times shape government policy. There was an article in the papers 3 weeks ago about gambling appealing to kids. 2 weeks ago, the Advertising Standards Commission came out with this kids. The sites look like they go for kids. You need to take Superman down. The press are controlling the UK government right now when it comes to gambling legislation. And again, don't think this won't carry on into other countries. It will. I know Denmark's looking at it. I know Gibraltar's looking at it. Malta's looking at it. Every regulator is starting to look at what the UK are doing right now. In the UK, there are two major challenges this year that operators have got. The first one is responsible gaming. Now, look, there are some rogue casinos out there, rogue operators out there, and I don't think we're seeing them either here in this room or with affiliates. People that come to these events aren't rogue, as a rule. But there are some rogue out there, but most operators and most affiliates and most people in the industry do not want people who've got problems gambling. It's very bad for PR. They will always stop, they'll demand the money back. It's just not good for the industry to have problem gamblers. But since the UK put their rules in place where you have to be one click away from self-exclusion, you have to exclude for a minimum of 6 months, you can't change your mind, they put some more rules in earlier this year, 13 to 18% of all new customers apparently are problem gamblers. Even though all the research says only 1% of the gambling population are problem gamblers. Why is that? You know what, when I lose £1,000 on a night at 11 o'clock at night, and I lose £1,000, I'm pretty upset. And when I go to a racetrack and I put a bet on and I lose it, What I do is I take my bet slip, I pump it up and I throw it on the floor. And then I go straight back to the bet bookmaker and make a bet on the next race. Well, the equivalent of scrunching that thing up is self-exclude. How do I know it's true? Because all of the companies that are now buying more and more companies are finding that a lot of the customers who are self-excluded on their sites are VIPs on the other sites. So what happens is the next day they try and open an account with us again. They can't. They're excluded for 6 months. Therefore, they go to the next site and open up an account there. M&A, and I'm not going to talk about merger and acquisition today because everyone's talked about it, but M&A is really bad for that. We'll talk about 888 in a minute, but the main thing that 888 got that 8.1 million fine for, the main thing was because on the Dragonfish network, if you self-excluded on Wink Bingo, you weren't self-excluded on 888 or Foxy or Cascade or whatever else. And that, they said, was unacceptable. If you self-exclude in one part of the business, you must self-exclude from all. Certainly from a license, but also the whole business. So as these companies consolidate, be it Kindred, be it GVC, be it any other company, they're self-excluding customers they buy because they have to. So if they don't do that, the Gibraltar, the Malta, and the UK regulator will fine them and take the license away. That's the problem with self-exclusion. People are abusing self-exclusion. The government doesn't get it, but what you're seeing is that the players you bring in, the good players you bring in, a much higher percentage of those players will stop after 2 or 3 days than they used to. A much higher percentage. 13, 14, 15, if you're lucky, of good customers who come in will self-exclude within 2 weeks. Or they'll be self-excluded because they're self-excluded somewhere else in the network. And the UK promised to put in this global self-exclusion. They utterly, totally chickened it, and now it's optional. So you can either self-exclude in the operator or globally. If you self-exclude globally, by the way, I think self-exclusion will go back down to 1%. The fact you can self-exclude on one site and then tomorrow open up another site, that makes them do it. There are customers phoning up, threatening, if you don't give me a bonus, I'll self-exclude myself. Threatening. I'm not talking about a few. 10% of all calls are coming in threatening self-exclusion if you don't, or complaints to the UKGC if you don't give me a bonus. That's called blackmail, and that's what the customers are doing right now. The second one is, I was talking about 888. So 888 were fined for 2 reasons. One was they didn't exclude customers across the network just for that operator, or just for that license holder, that brand. The second thing, they were fined 8.1 million, and by the way, they were blooming close to losing their license, and the next one that does this will lose their license. And this was not on purpose. 888, competitor, I don't like them, but they're a decent company, they're an honest company, they care about this stuff, they're not trying to do bad things. This is not someone who tried to get away with it in any way. And any operator, I think, could have done the same way. Any operator. They're making the rules up as they go along the UKGC. It's really hard to work out what they actually want. The second thing they're done for is that a customer, I think it was about 800,000, VIP, £800,000 lost, was caught by the police stealing from their employer. So basically stealing from their employer in order to fund their gambling habit. It's terrible, and the police absolutely should deal with that. Coral had a similar fine for a similar thing. Betfred had a similar fine for a similar thing. Rank had a similar fine in land-based for a similar thing. There's an issue here that we accept the fact that people use bank accounts and you have to put money in and out of the same bank account. As far as we're concerned, we've done our responsibility for money laundering. That's no longer true. We need to know for every customer over a certain amount of money, they didn't say how much, of course, you have to guess that bit, but for every single customer, we as an operator need to know where their money comes from. Hello, Mr. Customer. I see you're a big VIP of mine. Can you tell me where your money comes from, please? I need to do this for legal purposes. Yes, I'm based in Gibraltar. You never heard of it. Well, the normal word comes back to the customer as F off. And you get those. But we have a legal responsibility to check. We are now being audited to make sure we check. And every major operator is putting a lot of effort right now into checking the source of funds of customers, where their money comes from. Some are easy. Some of them, you go on Google, you go on LinkedIn, you find them, some are easy. But the VIPs aren't that simple, because VIPs tend to have family money, tend to have money from businesses they've bought or sold, and also our VIPs as a whole like to keep quite quiet. Not poker ones will show off like hell. But outside of poker, they'd like to keep quite quiet. But we have a legal responsibility to find out how much money they've got and where their money comes from. So we need to do 2 checks. One is, can they afford to gamble the way they're gambling? And the second one is, if they can afford it, where does that money come from? And if you can't find that out, you have to ask the customer. And 14 days after you ask the customer, you have to turn that customer off. That can be your biggest VIP. That can be the one that's making that affiliate all their revenue share. And we have a legal obligation to turn that customer off. If we don't do that, we will lose our license. And again, this is UK, it's going elsewhere. When the Swedish regulation eventually happens, it won't be Danish regulation. Everyone thinks it'll be Denmark regulation. It won't be. It's going to be UK. The Swedish regulators are looking at the UK very, very closely. They like what they see a lot. Talked about source of funds checking. See, Rank Group got fined. They had someone come to a land-based casino who was stealing money. I think they're actually on a what's called a PEP list, which is a list of people who are politically motivated. We also have to do that. We have to check all our customers against a list of politically motivated people. If someone's a mayor of a city or a councillor, you need to watch them more carefully. If somebody has been bankrupt before, we have to watch them more carefully. We've become like a financial institution without the rights of financial institutions to do checks. We can't do the type of credit checks that banks do. We're not allowed to legally for privacy reasons. And customers are being closed. So what does this mean for affiliation and operators? Well, the first one is marketing has to be more controlled. Much, 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 much more controlled. And I don't think as an industry we're ready for that. I don't think affiliates are ready for that. I don't think operators are ready for that. Still today, the operators allow the affiliates to do pretty much what they want. It's going to stop. And it's going to stop because otherwise the operator will lose their license. And by the way, if it doesn't stop, don't be surprised to see in a year's time the UK demanding affiliate licenses, which includes taxation, of course, and full disclosure about who you own, where all your money is, all the things I don't think affiliates particularly want to show. So operators will get very anal about this, and they're not doing it to hurt you. They're actually doing it to protect themselves and in the long term, protect your revenue. So they will close you otherwise. And if they close you, they won't pay you rev shares going backwards, because I think the UKGC wouldn't allow them to do that. So you lose your back rev share as well. Costs are up. Costs are going up. And I'm looking around this room right now, out there, and I'm still seeing 65% revenue share deals, 80% revenue share deals. Now, I know those deals are the first month only, which mean nothing, right? Because in the end, you can give 250% the first month. Most customers make a loss in the first month. It's second, third, fourth, fifth, 6 months you really care about. But the percentages are still getting silly. The deals are still quite silly in the whole industry. And affiliates are asking for more and more and more money. But the costs on the other side are going up. Marketing's more difficult, more expensive, and we have lawyers upon lawyers upon lawyers upon lawyers. Don't think you can send an email campaign out without 5 lawyers seeing it these days. It doesn't happen. Second of all, UK tax, VAT in Germany, tax in Austria, tax in Spain, serious, serious money. Bonuses are going up because of the competition. The costs are going up, the margins are dropping. I always give every analogy to airlines. That's where I come from. Online gaming is going from Emirates, which have their business class, first class and villas, to Ryanair, which make £1 per customer, but so many customers, they're the richest airline out there. But every single margin is incredibly tight. The industry is moving to tight margins, and you can see it out there. Less giveaways out there, less people out there, the stands are smaller and the stands are less posh. You can see what's going on. Let's walk around, you'll see what's going on. Because margins are getting tighter. If Ryanair had to stand out here, it would be 1 seat where you sit down and, 2 seats where you really cramp like that. And that's where gaming is moving towards, while still trying to give the best service to customers. And still not trying to keep customers without turning them off. Operators and affiliates are merging. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about M&A, but you can see the M&A going on in this industry. Operators are merging, and that will increase in the next 18 months. With all these costs you need to reduce, with all these extra costs, with gaming, I wouldn't say declining, but it's not growing anything like it used to in new customers. It's now moving customers around, different operators in the mature markets. I don't think there's one customer in Sweden left who hasn't gambled before. And I don't think there's one TV spot left in Sweden that isn't taken by gambling. So you can see that the growth of gambling isn't like it used to be. Mergers make a lot of sense. You can cut costs, you can cut competition. But what's changed this year is affiliates are also merging. They're being super affiliates. That's sort of smart. One is the affiliates can have more power, more bargaining power. But secondly, they're going to have legal teams working and stuff like that. They need to be bigger. Less profitable affiliates and operators will leave this industry. In 18 months' time, you will not see anywhere near as many affiliates, nowhere near as many operators. We're a maturing business. You're going to see that. It's coming. We've said it for years, but these changes are going to bring it. I think the UK is a catalyst to that, but you'll see one other market do the same thing. I think it'll be Sweden, and you'll see that really happen. And the relationship to affiliates and operators, I think, will become more homogeneous, and that's a good thing. We'll start working together. We'll stop being the enemy, and we'll actually start working together as franchisees. Because we've actually got everything in the same interest now. We've got the same interest going on, more so than ever before. With less operators out there to go with more legal restrictions, we'll work closer together. I think the relationship will and needs to realign. I want to show you one final thing, please. For all those affiliates out there that ask for 50% revenue share, or for 30% on gross gaming revenue, which I heard the other day, or for CPA of $400 plus a 20% lifetime revenue share, for lifetime revenue share without any restrictions whatsoever, for no baselines, and every other deal that everyone's asking for right now in the affiliate market, I want to show you this. I want to show you what happens. 50% revenue share lifetime is not real. So my recommendation to affiliates is, don't take it. It's not real. Let me show you why. Take one player with £100 GGR. One player. You've got one player as an affiliate, you get £100 GGR. On that, in the UK, you pay 15% point of consumption tax. You pay 30% in bonus costs. Actually, it's more than that now because of GGR costs, but let's ignore that for a second, okay? So at the £100, you're already down. You're at 55 NGR, and actually, that's really 45 with the new GGR tax. And with the VAT in Germany, it's 19, it's the same number, about 45. Now let's take some other costs off. These are guesstimates, right? They're not actual, but they're roughly there. 50% software costs that operators pay. 15% staff and fixed costs. I think I've massively underdone that. I think they're more than that. Bandwidth costs are very expensive. Gibraltar, Malta is very expensive. Hard to get the right staff. It's more than that. 2% processing fee. So we're down to a revenue of £23 for the operator before paying for any marketing costs whatsoever. 50% revenue share, affiliate share on NGR, up there, gives you 27, which gives the operator a loss of £4.50. That's not good business. That's bad business. Now, so why are you getting these? Now you get no negative carryover, revenue guarantees. It's even more ridiculous. Because what no negative carryover means is that the operator will suffer from the real revenue from the year, but you, as an affiliate, doesn't suffer from it, because you zero every single month. So whilst you get revenue share the next month, the operator is still at a loss, because they'll win the next before. Even worse, when the same customer loses, then wins and then loses it back. Even worse, right? So how can an operator do this? How can they go to you with these offers? I'll tell you how. There's only two ways they can do it. Either that's bullshit. They're putting that on, they're putting that on, they're putting that on, they're putting another 20% admin fee on. So actually the NGR you're getting your 50% on is not the NGR at all. It's actually some type of made up NGR with everything taken out. And I see that operators say, we don't charge you tax. Yes, they do, because they can't afford not to. So as an affiliate, ask Ask what that number really is. Demand to know when you're doing your contracts how that's broken down. Demand to know it. Because it's too good to be true, it's not true. Or, there's another thing. I'm a new business, or I want to sell myself, or I'm about to do a merger and acquisition, and all I care about is top-line revenue. All I care about is that number there, because I'm going to sell my company. And so, yes, I'll give you big revenue, because I get big top-line revenue here. But in 3 or 4 months when I've sold the company, or in 9 months when I can't sell the company, I ain't going to carry on this way. I'll start, what's it called, scamming, what's it called? I'll start taking money off. I'll start taking your affiliate link away. I'll start playing every game in the world because I can't afford that anymore. Or I'll just stop my affiliate program. So if affiliates wanting it for the long term, and I think now the affiliates in this industry want long term, not short term, don't trust the 50% NGR deal. It's not real. Somehow, you will get hurt. Far better to take a 25% real NGR deal or a 10% GGR deal than taking these type of deals. Now, I know that's really, really, really controversial, but those are the real numbers of companies. So anyone out there offering you those type of numbers, ask why. And yes, you'll get your money for a couple of months if they haven't messed around and scammed you and everything else. But it won't last. It just won't last. I want to give you a final slide of New Jersey as a hint. There's a couple of people at the back who are quite experts in New Jersey. New Jersey has been a failure, pretty much, right? It hasn't brought anything like the revenue it was meant to bring. It hasn't brought the growth it was meant to bring. But it has brought us some understanding of how a very regulated market can act. And that's a good case study to look at. In New Jersey, affiliation is regulated and licensed. So if you want to be an affiliate, you have to be a good upstanding person, you have to show your tax returns, you have to pay tax, all things we don't really like doing in this industry. This is what one of the New Jersey regulators say, and I'll read it to finish off. On the other hand, affiliates in many markets can cause massive problems, both for players and operators. The vast majority of those problems are not issues in New Jersey. An example of regulation in New Jersey that improves affiliate marketing for players is that affiliates in New Jersey are responsible not for targeting self-excluded customers with email campaigns. They get a list of all self-excluded and you can't target them. In fact, affiliates can be banned from working with the operator, sometimes the whole New Jersey market, for even small instances of doing something wrong. This protects players from having to work their way through a jungle of dishonest marketing, unfair marketing, and lies, and finds the information they're really looking for. And it protects the operator for concerns about affiliates not upholding standards necessary for the industry to exist in the USA. As far as being an affiliate in this type of market goes, I personally prefer not having to deal with unscrupulous competition and then be part of a long-term solution, not the problem for online gambling in the US. I'll make more money in the long term. Food for thought, and thank you very much, and I open some questions.
Thank you, Peter. We're actually just run over the half hour. We maybe have time for maybe one question. I think, has anybody put a hand up? Okay. All right, I'm going to draw that to a close. Thanks very much, Peter. That was fantastic. Thank you.